Hello, it's A Nikki B on the scene and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another beat with me. Now you're wondering why my voice sounds like this. Is because I am recovering from a cold, so I'm just trying to get a lot of mucus out. I've been drinking my ginger tea, taking my medicine, trying my best to rest. But it's really because of that. I had a really bad week, so I may do a lot of during the video, so please excuse me for that. But yes, I am recovering from a cold. It's just been in my throat, but I wanted to do this video for you guys. I actually don't feel anything else. I don't have a headache, I don't have body aches, I don't have anything like that. It is really just my throat. So yes, we are talking about Love is Blind season 6. And now for my first initial thoughts about this season is that nobody knows what the heck they signed up for. Why are we getting people who don't know where they are at? You signed up to be married in like what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, how many weeks. That's a short amount of time. If you were not ready for marriage, why are you going to waste somebody else's time? That's just my first initial thoughts, but we're going to keep it moving forward. So I'm not going to get into like the beginning, middle, and end. I'm just going to list out the couples who said yes to each other, and I'm going to go in the order that I want to go through. And you know, my least favorite down to the people I really want to talk about. And if you know what I look like, you already know who's going to be at the bottom of that list, who I really want to get on, because there's so much I have to say. Okay, first off, we're going to talk about Jeremy and Laura. Now, I really didn't care about their relationship. Honestly, when they came on screen, they weren't really talking about anything. They just kept, you know, I guess you want to say silly banter with each other, but a lot of times it came off as really like rude, and it sounded like they didn't like each other half the time. Especially, I think it was Laura's family. I think either her mother or her sister, they was just like, yo, like, you coming a little crazy at Jeremy, like, do you even like him? And she's like, oh no, that's just how we are, blah blah blah. But I'm just like, this is somebody you're trying to marry. Like, it's one thing to be like, this is, you know, playful talk, whatever. Everyone's gonna tease somebody every once in a while, but the way she was teasing him was a little and then she also was like, you know, there was a pros and cons, and she had a whole, was it her? I think she wrote a pros and cons. I don't remember who wrote that, but we're gonna say it was her. And basically, one of the cons was that he kept wearing the little Hawaii shirts or whatever with the flowers, which I honestly don't think there's an issue with that. Don't get me wrong, it is goofy, but I don't think it's an issue of wearing Hawaii shirts. But that was something that she disliked about him, which I thought was pretty stupid in my opinion. I'm like, if that's what he likes, that's what he likes. And like the sister was saying, she's like, well, this is a person that you want to marry and that's their thing, then you should appreciate them for that. You should respect it. And again, you're marrying somebody, so there's gonna be a lot of things you're not gonna like, a lot of things you might like, but you gotta find that balance. But let's fast forward to the nitty and gritty while we're here today with Jeremy and Laura. First of all, Jeremy, he could go kick rocks. He could go somewhere beyond that's nowhere near Charlotte, NC, because he is a horrible person. First of all, how are you gonna go meet up with Sarah Ann? And if you guys don't remember, Sarah Ann was his number 2 when they were in the pods, and he didn't choose her, and obviously chose Laura. But he meets up with her because she sent him a DM basically saying like, hey, thank you for the experience, blah blah blah. If you ever change your mind, blah blah blah, we can meet up. So he took that as a go. So, and that was something that she brought up with her family. Laura brought up with her family too. I thought that was something that was a little weird. You should just keep that between you and your future fiance. I didn't think your family needed to know anything like that. He decides to go meet up with Sarah, and mind you, he was at the bar. He turned the location on and purposely left his phone at the bar so Laura would think that he was at the bar. But what people don't understand is that when you connect your Apple Watch, when the Apple Watch is connected to you, it's going to show a different location, and that's going to be your most recent location. And I know this because I own an Apple Watch, and it has its own location. So just in case, you know, you might lose one of your devices or whatever, you can find it, right? He leaves his phone at the bar. You know, him and Sarah Ann, you know, talking whatever in the parking lot. So then he decides to drop her home because she only lived about 8 minutes away and it was late, right? But guess what? He didn't come home until 5:30 a.m. in the morning. So then Laura, you know, the next day, she's just like, why were you with her? No, and you know that, and he knows that Laura doesn't like Sarah Ann. So she tried to figure out, why are you with her? And on top of that, to 5:30 a.m. in the morning? Like, what were you guys talking about? Clearly you guys weren't talking. Let's just cut the chase. You guys weren't talking. There's nothing in the world that's so important that you gotta talk to 5:30 a.m. And he was trying to play Laura and everything. It was just so bad. But we gonna get more into Sarah Ann. But that was like that whole gist of Jeremy and Laura. I hope Laura just says no. Although I will point out with Laura, I didn't like how she made a joke. And this is when it was in DR. I just didn't like how she tried to make a joke for Jeremy to go bean dip AD. And I never knew what the heck a bean dip was. I don't know that. That's how I know that's some white people stuff, because I didn't know what the heck a bean dip was. But basically to flick her boob as a joke, because the whole, this entirety of the season was literally, especially like when the girls was in DR, everybody was talking about her body. And AD does have a very nice body. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, her skin is beautiful, everything. Has a very nice temple. But every time she wore something, everybody was in her business. And I mean, that just comes with the territory. I feel like when you have a really nice body, everybody's going to look. That's just going to happen. But the problem is a lot of people don't respect you when you do have a body that, people are going to look at. I felt like a lot of the girls and the guys weren't really respecting her, especially Clay. Laura made a distasteful joke to basically be like to Jeremy, oh, you should go flick her boob or whatever. And he obviously wasn't going to do it, but even then, just him speaking about it to AD when they're sitting in a circle, like, yeah, Laura told me to go and hit your boob, ha ha ha. Like, I don't know why she would say that. Like, she's crazy for that, right? Like, I would never do that, but it's like, even if you knew you wasn't going to do that, it's the fact that you're bringing it up. That's a form of humiliation, and that makes AD uncomfortable. And she even said if you would have done that, she would have to, not pew, but I'm talking about like put the paws on you, probably argue with you. And guess what? You know what Clay did? Sat his scrawny self right there and did not say a word. I feel like if that was my fiance and somebody was making a joke about her, I would trust 1 and 2. I'm not sitting there all quiet and looking cute and pretty. No. But anyway, she said that, so then she confronted Laura and she was like, hey, like, even though we were in the pods, whatever, that was an inside joke. That's not something you bring about towards other people. It was just a joke. It's not that deep, but it's like, Laura, regardless of it not being that deep, it's not appropriate. And again, you knew the context of that joke. That's between you and AD and the other girls. Like, I don't know about you girls who have friends and sometimes y'all be flicking each other boobs, whatever. I know that sometimes can be a thing, but once you enter a man into that, it's no longer a playful time, especially we know in this day and age of society, a man doing that to a woman, he gonna end up in jail. Let's not play around with those ropes, okay? What Laura did was very distasteful, and I just didn't like how they over-sexualized AD's body and almost kind of just treated her like she wasn't a person. It was just like, all right, she was like some statue or something, some artifact in a museum. And especially even when I think it was Jimmy, when he first saw her, I think he spun her around. I don't really know, but I think he spun her around, whatever. It was like AD looking at her body and this and that, da 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 da. So then this was just like, and so I kind of get why Chelsea felt some type of way, but then again, Chelsea's she's an insecure thumb. Okay, she's the shape of a thumb. Her chin is a thumb, and she's very insecure. And it's to a point where from afar, I thought that was Natalie Nunn, but it's not her. But that's who she is. Moving on, I hope Jeremy gets his karma. Laura, I don't really like you too much either, but one thing about Laura, she's gonna stand on business if she ever feels something. So Johnny and Amy is another couple I do not care too much for. And Amy, I think she's sweet. I think she's cool. She seems like she really wants to get married. Her father seems cool. I think she's here for love. Johnny, I don't think he's a bad guy either, but I just feel like when it comes to the whole conversation of kids, I just think they have mainly Johnny, I think he has such a narrow way of thinking when it comes to the whole being financially stable, being prepared to have kids. And one thing I learned, and not to say I have because I don't have any kids, but I've seen from other people, my observations, is that it doesn't matter how financially stable you are. You could have it all and it could all come crashing down once you have that kid, because it could be so many things that could go wrong. Because we all want a healthy baby. We all want the child to grow up and to be good and to not have to worry about anything. But life can happen. I think people often forget life can happen. And then I didn't like how he was kind of like pushing the idea for Amy to be on birth control, even though towards the end she kind of thought about it pretty much was going to do it. But it's like, even then, I would be like, first of all, there's so many ways, there's so many forms of contraceptives that being on a birth control is not, obviously, is so many better ways. Especially the birth control can affect a woman's body in numerous ways. It can make her gain weight. It can really mess with her hormones, especially if she does get off the birth control. You know, it could really jack her up. You know what I'm saying? Everything could just go haywire. It's like, it is a lot. That's why birth control is something that gets prescribed rather than something we could pick up in a store and go about our day. And then, you know, he did do some research and he was like more surprised, like, wow, I didn't even know about half of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're pushing it, but you're not understanding the complications that come with that. And I think even then, of being on birth control, that's not a 100% you ain't gonna have a kid. You can still end up having a kid while being on birth control. It has happened to some people. You just have to practice safe hoo-haing. That's my only thing with them. Don't really care too much. We're gonna move forward. Now, Jimmy and Chelsea, I think Jimmy is cool. But he also is very, like, forgiving. I would have dumped Chelsea in that room the moment she screamed at me talking about this and that and blah blah blah. I would have dumped Chelsea the moment every time she keeps asking me, do I love her? Do I think she's pretty? Or how's her makeup today? Blah blah blah. I would have dumped Chelsea the moment she told me that she said she looked like Megan Fox and she came out looking like Natalie Nunn's third cousin distance removed. I would have dumped her then. She is too much. She is way too much, way too insecure. It is not to say no one has insecurities. We all have insecurities, but it's how we manage those insecurities. It's the willingness to improve those negative thoughts. It seems like for her, she needs validation through everything. She needs to be validated on everything. And she tries to walk around like she's this confident woman, but she's not. And I wouldn't be confident either if I keep lying to people saying that I look like Megan Fox when I don't. That's her biggest problem. And she has this way of just trying to it's like she tries to sound like a baby. I don't know if you guys noticed that in the scene. She's like, oh my god, blah 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 blah. Like, what are you doing? You are a grown woman. And Jimmy be eating that up sometimes. He be eating it up. Collard greens eating it up. And I like the fact that when they did have that argument, he did cut her up. And, you know, I actually didn't even know he even slept with one of his best friends. So that was like, all right, cool. I mean, not cool, but like, wow. And apparently he told her not to say that on camera. But she said it on camera anyway. So again, you're being disloyal. And then on top of that, you mad that he's friends with his situationship, we're gonna call it, but you said at the table in front of the girls that you have a best friend who was also your ex. So that means that was somebody you slept with, somebody you did everything with, that you claim is your best friend, and you said that you completely understand and had no issue with him having girlfriends because you have guy friends and one of them is your actual ex. So I just want to know, was that the ex that cheated on you? Me and the people would like to know, is that the ex that you're close with that has cheated on you multiple times? We would like to know for the jury, because it just does not make any sense to moi. And I liked how Jimmy met up with Jess, and you know, he was honest. I think one thing was that he gonna be honest for the most part. He did say he saw Jess and was attracted to her, blah blah blah, and they had that conversation. And you know, Jess didn't do nothing, you know what I'm saying, which I thought that was great. They had that conversation, hashed it out, whatever. But my whole thing with Chelsea is that she just doesn't know when to give up. Like, her entire issue with Jimmy was that she was just jealous of Jess and all the other girls. And it's just, again, this is a girl who is very insecure. So if you guys, for you guys out there who happen to court a very insecure girl, I would say just beware. Just beware. You cannot change them. You cannot change them. And that could be for a guy too. You cannot change them. If you feel yourself constantly having to validate a person, it's just best to leave. They have to figure it out on their own, because if they don't love themselves internally, they can't give you that love externally, and they can't expect other people to provide that confidence for them. Now, Kenneth and Brittany. Now, Brittany, she's very pretty. I think she's a cute girl. Face card never decline. Makeup, no makeup, she's cute. And I just didn't like the fact that she was with Kenneth. what did Kenneth sign up for the show for? And you know, I want to say what I really want to say, but it's going to come off super mean, so we're going to keep it cute and nice. But Kenneth could go. Kenneth, you too big to be acting like that. First of all, you're getting married to somebody, therefore you have to show some sort of affection. It's like he wasn't getting the vibes. Like when they were on the boat in DR, she's trying to talk to him about the weather, what's going on, da da da. He's just like, And keep in mind, we're getting like a we're getting a shortened version of them being on his boat. But in reality, I bet he was probably quiet for like 20 to 30 minutes before he actually started talking. And that's what just be like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how she must have felt just watching him stare off into the ocean. And next thing you know, he starts talking about dolphins and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, you couldn't talk about that 30 minutes before? And then even when it was holding hands, his hand was like this, her hand is all like this, and he's like, and she's like, this is his hand, her hand. Like, what are we doing? And then when they get back, you know, to Charlotte, they go back to the apartment, whatever. You know, she's doing, you know, packing her stuff or whatever away. And he's just on his phone. Like, he was fiending for his phone. Like, who's on your phone? You don't look important. And they say that he's a principal of a school. What school? Because you are sure not a principal. You don't look like a principal. You don't dress like a principal. And you sure do not talk like a principal. Who are you schooling? Nobody. You know, they back at the crib. He on his phone as if that's the most important thing in the world. Not showing her any attention. So fast forward, they get into a little argument, and he's talking about, oh, but I do that. I do show you affection. I do that. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's why we're here, because you don't. And she's telling him that. She starts crying, and he's like just sitting there. He don't care. While she's bawling her eyeballs out in the back, he's just on his phone, not caring. He's just too nonchalant for me. He seems like he don't know what he signed up for. So then, you know, he gave her some BS hug, like, come on, let's hug it out so we don't got no beef with each other, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, he ran his fat self to the room talking about, yo, I can meet up with you, da, da, da. Which I think he's talking to another girl. And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people came on this show to just gain a lot of fame, you know, just to be famous, just to be known, just to gain followers, whatever it means. But people have to understand, this is a show where you actually putting yourself out there and actually trying to marry somebody. So if you paint yourself any type of way, people are going to know you for that. So you're not going to capitalize off of that. That makes sense. Like, there's only very few people that are able to capitalize from the show. But those people are good people, if you get what I'm saying. If you're a villain from the show, nobody's going to F with you. That's as simple as that. So we're going to hop right back into where we left off. And we left off from AD and Clay. And as you guys can hear, my voice sounds a little better. AD and Clay. Now, this couple is probably one of the worst couples to be paired, because I feel like AD is the type of person that's going to ignore all of the red flags because she just wants to be chosen by a good-looking man. She just wants to be that girl. And it's like, it's cool and all if you want to be that girl, but you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart. And I feel like when she, you know, introduced Clay to her mother, well, before she introduced him, she was like, oh, like, he's such a looker. He's really a looker. Even after the fact that the mother met him, and I think he went off to take a call or go to the bathroom. I really don't know. But she was like, he's such a looker, right? He's such a looker. And the mother is like, okay, that's cool and all, but you're not asking these questions. It's like, she was asking Clay, like, okay, what is it that you do? And they even kind of checked him on the fact that, you know, every time Clay gets into any conversation, he likes to talk about how his parents' marriage failed after a certain point, even though they were married for 24 years. But it pretty much, they broke it off. You know, they got divorced, and he keeps talking about that. Every scene he's in, my mother and my father, they got divorced. My father was cheating. My father took me on his escapades to his mistress's house, and I used to watch him cheat. And he cheated on my mother multiple times. And he kept saying that. And then I'm also going to get into how, you know, when she met his mother, but we're going to talk about this aspect of AD. So the mother, you know, sulked and whatever and checked them on that, because she was like, even though, yes, your parents may have divorced, but they were married for 24 years. Therefore, they did it. They did it. They tried. And that's what it is. They tried to have a family, which they did. They raised you guys, you know, you, Clay, and your siblings. They did the best that they could. Now, if that is something that you fear, that you basically are telling AD, like, hey, I might cheat on you. I might not be the most faithful person to you in this relationship. Like, he is clearly telling AD, like, I don't want to be with you. And it doesn't even seem like a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Forget the marriage. Like, he doesn't want to be with her unless it is sexual. And he only talks about her body. He never talks about anything valuable of her. Like, not about her mind, not about her interests, none of that. It's always about her body. Her body is tea. Her body is tea. Come on, sassy Clay. Anything else? And I just see AD as this person that's very aloof in this situation. She's very much in her head about it. It's just like, oh, but he's cute, right? He has emotional intelligence, right? He does not have emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence basically tells a person, like, hey, maybe this isn't the best choice for me right now. I'm not ready to be committed. That's emotional intelligence. You do not go on a show, sign up to be married in like 4 to 5 weeks to a stranger you just met. Why did he come on this show if he fears so much that he's going to end up like his father? I just don't understand Clay, and I don't understand that AD is just like, he's not that good looking. He's not ugly, but he's not drop dead gorgeous. If you don't pick yourself up by the bootstraps, like, come on, AD, come on, Amber Desiree. And you could tell she be eating it up. Like, every time he talks about her in the most basic of way. A lot of time Clay just be saying a bunch of nothing, and AD just be in the back like, like, girl, stop that. Pick you and your lashes up and get going. Like, I don't understand what it is that she sees in him. And just because he expresses himself does not equate to him having emotional intelligence. And I want you guys to know that just because somebody is yapping their mouth, expressing themselves, does not mean they have emotional intelligence. It's about the content of what they say. It's about how they say it. It's the tone. It's the intention behind what they say. You always have to question, well, why are they expressing this? But AD don't ask questions. She does not ask questions at all. She just, especially when she did that little, I guess she set up some little nice little thing for him. So when he comes home, he gets to see it and, you know, do coupley stuff. But he does not come home because guess what? He does not come home at all. So AD has an issue with it, but she's not bringing it up because she's not asking the question. And then we're going to switch over to Clay. Clay, why are you here? Why are you here? You do not need to be on the show. We do not need you. We do not need to see you. We don't want to hear no more about your mother being cheated on. That got nothing to do with us. Ain't got nothing to do with you. Ain't got nothing to do with AD. Keep it a buck. You don't like the way AD looks. And AD, I think she's a beautiful girl, but to his standards, she ain't beautiful enough. He probably upset about her lashes, her leave out, or whatever. But he don't want her. And then on top of that, you complaining about how your father was doing this and that and blah, blah, blah. Then why are you on the show signing up to be married to somebody when you are clearly not ready for that? Make that make sense. And then on his side, when AD met the mother, and you know when AD says she was a little cold, that's a signal for him to take off his sweater and give it to her. That was for him. The mother was like, oh, no, 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 here's my shawl. She was like this. She was like this, bro. The mother had her shawl on like this and told me, no, 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 I got you. Here's my shawl. Here you go. Keep your shawl. It's not for you. That wasn't a call for you. That was for Clay. She did that for Clay. She said, I'm cold, and that was for Clay. She sent out the Batman signal for Clay. That wasn't intended for you. And that made me so mad about that entire moment, because I'm like, Clay don't get it. And that's what it made me think, and so many other people think, that he's a little on the other side. We think he's a little like everybody else. I think he played for the other team. He's not showing husband material. He's not giving boyfriend material. He's not giving anything material. If anything, he's giving I'm your friend and I'm gonna be over here material. And even then, barely a friend, because he just seems like a horrible guy, to be honest. And you know, the mother gave her the shawl or whatever. So now AD's in the mother's shawl all like this. You know what I'm saying? And now they talking about the scheduling, right? So Clay scams, I don't care. First of all, if any of you guys understand how Airbnb works, you don't make money unless you own the house. Let's keep that a buck. If you don't own a house, you ain't making money off of Airbnb. So anybody that tells you like, oh yeah, I do the Airbnb, no. You gotta own it. Okay? And if you don't own it, you're scamming people. Moving on. Then he talk about he does tech sales. Tech sales, what are you selling? Software? You're selling applications. What are you doing in tech sales? Moving on. He talking about he rent out boats. Okay, what's the name of the company? How often do you rent out these boats? How AD, you're not asking these questions. So he said all that. So it sounds like he's an entrepreneur, so he does multiple jobs. Honestly, I hate when I feel like lately people just been throwing the word entrepreneur around like it's a dang basketball. Like, no, only very few people are truly an entrepreneur. Technically, a creator like myself, I am an entrepreneur because this is my own work. This is my business, my brand, if you want to call it that. This is me. And one day I will make money from it. So yes, I can call myself an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur is a very hard thing to do, because you're literally starting from the ground up. You have to do a lot of networking, etc., etc. It all depends on the business that you're trying to do. And it seems like he's just working a lot of different scams. That ain't entrepreneur, boo. That's criminal. So now we get to the point where they're talking about the schedule. So he was pretty much, again, the issue was that he wasn't coming home and his schedule is different. And AD actually took like a week off from her job just so she can get to know Clay and they can hang out and do whatever stuff together. But he didn't do that. But y'all know why he didn't do that? Because he ain't got no real job. So that's why he has to keep going off camera and doing scammy work. And then the only time we see him together with AD is when they're on camera. But he's doing that. But he's talking about, oh, but she has to understand my schedule. I do X, Y, and Z, da, da, da. I can't really make time, da, da, boom, boom, boom. But it's just like, AD's not speaking up like, well, we're in a relationship, so you gotta make time. And I think the mother mentioned, like, if you really care about this person, you say you love this person, you will make time. Regardless of what it is, you're gonna find time. And it was so crazy because, like, the mother was speaking facts in that aspect. But I'm like, if only she knew what her son was saying about her back in DR, when he talking about, oh, my mother got cheated on multiple times, da 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 da. She would not like that. And I was looking at her, but I'm just like, but you got cheated on. And yeah, you was married for 24 years, but you got cheated on multiple times during those years. But yeah, so I'm just like, you know, coming from her, it just didn't really sit right with me, only because of the information that Clay keeps freaking talking about every freaking second that he gets. It was kind of hard to take her advice, in my opinion. I don't know if AD thought that. You know, she just be smiling and laughing at every dang thing, but I just thought that was a little off from her side, considering on what we know. But she was right about the fact, if you do care about a person, if you're trying to get to know a person, or better yet, if you want to marry this person and be with this person for the rest of your life, you are going to make time for them. You will have to make time for them. Because Clay be talking about, yeah, you know, I want kids. I want this. I want that for blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, you don't come home though. Honestly, the wedding dress scenes, a lot of the dresses was ugly. I ain't gonna hold you. A lot of them were really, really ugly to me. But there's some notable things I actually want to kind of dive in a little bit. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video. But that entire scene, I need to dive back into that. With Jimmy and Chelsea, that entire scene where she was arguing with him, somebody need to get Bigfoot and give her some medication. Like, there should be no reason that you're yelling at the top of your lungs, you're crying, you're practically having a fit because of something that was contrived. Think about it. You made things up to make this narrative about Jimmy and to try to paint him as somebody that he isn't, you know, and you was fueling that. Like, that was bothering you. Like, I ain't gonna hold y'all. It was giving Legion. Yeah, if y'all know what I'm talking about Risa Tisa story. Legion, the dude that she married and divorced, and he was lying about everything, and he was making up scenarios and arguing with her over nothing. That's what it gave. It was giving Legion, but like a little bit, because it's like, why are you fishing? Like, Jimmy was right. You were fishing for something. You want to be mad at something. So it made me start to think about her past relationships. I'm just like, if you get like this over something that was contrived, then I can only imagine how you were in those last relationships. And that's probably why you got cheated on. And it don't make it right. I don't condone cheating on anybody. But it's probably a good reason why you got cheated on, because you're not up here. And then you talking about, oh, it's because Jess was there, so you went to go see Jess. And it's like, no, he told you from the very beginning, I'm going to the bar, it's for a friend's birthday, my close girlfriend's gonna be there, boom, bada bing. And he told you all the information ahead of time about what was the the tea cut. People have to be reminded, you're marrying a person you don't know. So I think it would behoove you to want to be honest with the person you're about to marry. And I think Jimmy was just doing it right by just trying to make sure he is open with her, trying to be as transparent with her. But it seemed like she was taking it and just using it against him. Like, she's the type that's going to take all your personal information and throw it back at you. And a lot of times she was throwing it into little jokes, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that she was taking a lot of personal things that they talk about and made it into like a joke in front of other people that got nothing to do with them. And then even when she met his family, the Southern bumpkins that they all, she was a little cranky, she was a little odd. I'm like, I really like her vibe there. But I'm just like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Chelsea gotta go. That's all I gotta say. Chelsea got to go. When AD addressed Sarah Ann about that whole text message that she sent to Jeremy on Instagram, I mean, AD was right in terms of what she was saying to Sarah Ann. Like, yo, like, you shouldn't have texted him because you know he's a married man. You know the situation, basically. Like, what you did was wrong. And yes, AD was right for that. But AD should not have been the messenger because it's not her business. And Sarah Ann was right about that. Like, it had nothing to do with you. And then on top of that, Jeremy told Sarah Ann that he was going to break it off with Lauren anyway. It's just all messy all the way around. But that's what happened. But Sarah Ann, you still ain't ish, because you was his number 2. So once he leaves Laura, you're just a rebound for him. You're not like, oh my gosh, like he's picking me, like, no, like, you're number 2, you're a rebound, you are leftover trash, leftover scum, and he's gonna bounce to you because he's a horrible person. And I found out that he actually has a whole wife back at home somewhere with a kid. Or kids or whatever. So he's just not a good person. But Sarah Ann, if that's the person you want to go for, then by all means, have fun. But Sarah Ann, you look like a blowfish, and you getting blowfish energy right now. Other than that, yeah, I thought it was all crazy. But that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be back again with another one. Bye.